Fourth episode, Painbow, is particularly controversial,
and all of this controversy is over a 3-second clip. I am going to address that 3-second clip when we get to it, but I'm not going to say that this entire episode is bad just because of 3 seconds of it, okay? I'm going to judge the episode as a whole. This episode is actually the first to introduce a new villain that was not in the original series. I am interested in seeing if they do better with a villain of their own creation than something that was already part of the Powerpuff Girls lore.
So the episode opens with Miss Keene trying to get the kids in class into a grammar unit, because grammar is important in junk.
Now, the only one of the girls in this class you may have noticed is Buttercup. I didn't bring this up in, the introduction because, well, let's be honest, even though it could be considered an overall aspect of the episode, the fact that I only can notice it in, the 4th episode kind of indicates how not important it is. It does serve as a way to isolate the girls for individual plot threads, though. Like, for example, this one.
Anyway, Buttercup isn't exactly entertained, so she makes fun of Miss Keene. Miss Keene tries to tell Buttercup that there's a time and a place for goofing around,
which is the moral of the story given away right at the beginning. Look, to a certain extent with this moral, you kinda have to give it away at the beginning, but could have done with a little bit more subtlety here than just outright stating it right now. Maybe.
Buttercup makes a farting noise, and this clearly is too much for Miss Keene to tolerate, and she's about to send Buttercup to the principal's office when a rainbow appears.
And apparently that rainbow is laced with ecstasy because Miss Keene is now super chill right now, bruh.
She lets everyone out of class early.
Buttercup's shift in tone here seems a bit off. Okay, this is probably a bit of a nitpick, but I understand most of it. It's just when she starts asking about the grammar unit again. It makes it seem like she actually does care about the grammar unit and was simply goofing off just because she wanted attention instead of the actual motivation of being bored, which was made clear by literally everything else in the scene. I mean, the only explanation I can come up with is that they needed an extra line or two to frickin' make the scene longer to fit the runtime. And they could have done that elsewhere.
Whatever, school's out early because fuck everything. Blossom's upset because her diorama got an A+, and so did everyone else's. She says that she doesn't matter if her intelligence doesn't matter.
Right, Blossom's the nerd. Got it. To be fair, this isn't exactly out of place for what we've already seen, and it certainly gives a new viewer an idea of who Blossom is. I just think they kind of shoved it down our throats a little bit, you know?
Buttercup trips a kid to show that she can get away with anything. The kid responds by asking Buttercup to hug him, and Buttercup doesn't like it.
The hugging thing is actually a plot point.
Barry gets all the hugs from the other kids, and Bubbles gets out from under a dog pile to express that this is too much hugging.
If Bubbles is telling you there's too much hugging going on, then the world is about to be destroyed by a nuclear hug bomb. Clearly something else is going on here. Luckily, the professor is, as the girls call him, the most sane person they know, so maybe they can ask him for advice.
He's playing in the sprinkler.
Okay, the professor is more of a professional type, and this is a bit of a nitpick. Although this joke is set up properly internally within the episode, I think in the overall series, it's not set up as well as it could. We barely see the professor before now, so, maybe have another episode that more prominently features the professor before this one. And I don't mean the stayover. That was not prominent. I'm sorry. The scenes of chaos, I do feel like they ran a little bit long. I think it would have been better to just have do what they do later in the episode, actually. Have a single, cut-in with the chaos going on and people dancing. I think that would have been just as effective, if not more effective.
Anyway, the girls go into the rainbow. Inside the rainbow is what I can only describe as the intro to the amazing world of Gumball.
We get an immediate indication from the girls of what each of them thinks. Blossom doesn't really care. She's more focused on the mission. Bubbles, she loves it. That's actually going to be an indication of something that happens in a moment. Buttercup, she hates it. Anyway,
he tells them to wait for the bass drop. So after the bass drop, he introduces himself as Allegro. He likes to party. Bubbles decides to turn into a valley girl at a midnight rave and can't even. Blossom and Buttercup are unimpressed.
people think this is bad writing for some reason. In terms of Bubbles getting mind controlled at all, it's pretty clear that Bubbles is more susceptible because of the fact that she likes what she is seeing more than the other girls. The resistance in the first place, though, can be chalked out to because superpowers. And in terms of the Valley Girl speak, people are saying that that's them forcing memes into the show. I'm sorry, but I refuse to accept a Valley Girl speak, even when it's a phrase like, I can't even, as a frickin' meme. Those jokes have been in media since at least the 1980s. I think it's safe to say that something that mainstream media has been making fun of for over 30 years probably isn't them trying to appropriate internet culture and put it somewhere where it doesn't belong.
Big surprise, the only character here with a name is revealed to be the villain.
Buttercup once again expresses that she does not want to be hugged. Allegro keeps seeming to wonder why the girls do not want any of his sweet vibes.
Blossom points out that this is chaos because she's the responsible one. Allegro dispenses party lobsters in time with another bass drop, and they shoot smiley faces at the girls.
We're just gonna go with it.
Buttercup dodges, but Blossom and Bubbles get hit. Turns out it was an ecstasy because now the girls are under Electro's party mind control. So they twerk.
And here comes the controversy. Now look, I understand what people have a problem with here. Twerking is associated with sexuality. There is also an association of twerking with fun and partying. And I think that's what they were going for here. That being said, these are little girls, so I understand people having a problem with it. But let me at least defend this to a certain degree, because I understand why it can work and why they probably thought it wouldn't be as bad as it was. Either that, or they were intending to make controversy anyway, but at least let me explain why it's not as bad. First of all, it's already painted as actions of the villain. The girls are under mind control from the villain, and they are doing this only when being mind controlled by the villain. The second thing about this is that immediately afterwards, the only heroic character that is not being mind controlled called it gross. So this is clearly painted as an action that you are not supposed to applaud. This is not an action you are supposed to support. So I think in that sense, I understand the use of it, but if people are still offended by it, of course, I understand that perfectly.
Buttercup starts to act like the responsible one out of necessity, and then says the exact thing Miss Keene said earlier, thus lowering the moral and depressing herself.
Like I said, forced moral is forced. I think it would have been better if she just beat the villain and then went back and showed that she learned the lesson in class, which she does anyway. So, yeah.
Regardless, Allegro offers a hug
And starts sounding
just one little hug.
creepier as he tries to get Buttercup to hug him.
She punches him in the arm, and it cracks, with glowing blue stuff pouring out of it. She then winds up punching the other arm off by punching him in the stomach.
And then, of course, the natural move is to turn the creepy factor up to 31.
Just one little hug.
Out of 10.
One more punch, and Allegro falls apart.
Creepy as it is, I think it's actually a good thing that it's so creepy. I do like the escalation and deconstruction of Allegro's character as the scene continues.
Anyway, it turns out there was a gummy bear inside the panda. He just wanted to party. He implodes, taking the rainbow rave with him, and the town goes back to normal. We close the episode out with Buttercup tempted to make butt jokes when Miss Keene is talking about the word butt, although she decides that now's not the time. She saves it for after the narration at the end of the episode.
Wait, grammar didn't do shit. It's not like it's especially funny to give grammar the credit. This is them trying to do a joke on the Day is Saved segment, and it not working, which kinda makes me feel like it should have just been played straight, and then at the end of it, Buttercup delivers the butt questions joke if you really still want it in there, which you probably do because toilet humor. Why has this not been played in any way close to straight? This is definitely my least favorite episode thus far. It's so bad that I had to do a jump cut, but I can think of something positive to say about the episode. The villain, Allegro. I do like Allegro, at least on a conceptual level. I also am not really that disappointed in him getting destroyed, even though they could come up with an excuse for him to come back if they really wanted to. But I'm not really that disappointed by it since I'm not sure how many stories they could have told with him in the first place. Overall, though, unfortunately, I'd say that you can just give this episode a pass if you really wanted to.